just when it looked like Armie Hammer's Hollywood story was completely over. Something unexpected just pulled him right back into the spotlight. But this isn't a typical comeback story, because the director behind his return isn't just controversial. He's been called the world's worst filmmaker and even made headlines for physically fighting his critics. And now, these two very different Hollywood outcasts have joined forces on a new movie that's already raising eyebrows before anyone has even seen it. The question is this a real comeback or the most chaotic Hollywood gamble we've seen in years? Akek, Armie Hammer was once seen as one of Hollywood's rising elite. From Bamis the Social Network to I Call Me By Your Name DOS, he had the kind of career most actors dream about. Bland, but everything changed when serious allegations and disturbing claims surfaced online, triggering massive backlash and non-stop media attention. Projects started disappearing, his agency dropped him, and Hollywood quietly stepped away. Being within a short time, the actor who once walked red carpets at the top of the industry had completely vanished from the big studio spotlight. Billions. And just when it seemed like there was no way back, things took an even more unexpected turn. While Armie Hammer's career collapse was making headlines, nobody expected the name that would soon enter the picture. Uwe Boll. Boll isn't just another director. He's one of the most controversial filmmakers in modern cinema. Critics have long slammed his work, with several of his films repeatedly labeled among the worst ever made, and his reputation often overshadowing the movies themselves. Despite that, he never fully disappeared. Instead, he leaned into the controversy, building a career around shock value, low-budget chaos, and pure unpredictability. And somehow, against all expectations, this is the same filmmaker now pulling Armie Hammer back into a new Hollywood conversation. And that alone reasons Uwe Boll's reputation didn't just come from bad reviews, it came from how he responded to them. At one point, things escalated in a way Hollywood had never really seen before. Instead of ignoring his critics, Boll actually challenged several of them to boxing matches, turning criticism into a real-life spectacle. What made it even more shocking was that the event wasn't just talk. It happened, and it became part of his bizarre public image as a filmmaker who refuses to back down, how loud the backlash gets. That mindset is exactly why his return to a project with Armie Hammer feels so unpredictable. Because with Boll, controversy isn't avoided, it's used as fuel. The project bringing them together is called Dop Citizen Vigilante die Tadite, and it already sounds like something built to spark controversy. Armie Hammer plays an American businessman living abroad who slowly transforms into a violent vigilante after growing frustrated with crime and the system around him. Once his character gains attention online, his actions start turning him into a strange kind of social media figure, part hero to some and danger to others. It's a role that mixes crime, fame, and public chaos. And it feels uncomfortably close to the real-world attention Hammer already receives. After stepping away from Hollywood at the height of the controversy, Armie Hammer didn't disappear completely. He just stayed far from the spotlight for a while. Over time, reports suggested the legal pressure around him eased, and no criminal charges were filed in 2023, something that quietly changed the conversation around his future. Banned slowly, he began resurfacing in small public appearances and low-profile projects, trying to rebuild his presence outside the major studio system. And now, with this new film, it looks like he's testing whether Hollywood is finally ready to watch him again. Even if the reaction is still deeply divided. Even before its release, Citizen Vigilante is already wrapped in controversy and debate. Some reports say the project has struggled with pushback in certain markets, with its provocative themes and original title changes adding even more attention around it. Immediate online reactions are split right down the middle. Some people see it as a bold, chaotic comeback attempt, while others believe it's a risky move given Hammer's already damaged reputation. You know, and with both Hammer and Bowl known for controversy, many are now wondering if the film will be judged for its story or for everything surrounding it. Hollywood has always had a strange relationship with comebacks. Some stars disappear after controversy, only to return years later and rebuild their image piece by piece. Over time, audiences have shown they can forgive, or at least forget, depending on the story, the timing, and how the return is handled. But the key difference is always perception. A comeback can feel inspiring in one moment and completely unacceptable in another, depending on public mood. And that's why Armie Hammer's situation feels so unpredictable right now, because nobody can really agree on what a second chance should look like. For Wags. Looking ahead, nothing about this situation feels predictable. Yue Bull already has plans for more projects, including new controversial ideas that keep him in the same chaotic lane he's known for. At the same time, Armie Hammer is slowly stacking up small roles again, testing how far his return can realistically go. If Fade's Citizen Vigilante gains attention, good or bad, it could open doors for both of them, or shut them even tighter, depending on how audiences react. And that's what makes this story so strange, because this isn't just about one movie. It might quietly decide whether two of Hollywood's most controversial names are really coming back, or still stuck in the past. In the end, Armie Hammer's return isn't happening in the way most people expected. It's not a polished studio comeback or a carefully managed reboot. It's messy, controversial, and built around a filmmaker who has spent years on the edge of the industry. Student Citizen Vigilante may end up being remembered for its story, or it may be remembered for everything surrounding it instead. Either way, it has already done something important. It has forced people to talk about Armie Hammer again. But whether that attention turns into a true second chance or just another short-lived headline still depends on what happens next, and how the world chooses to react when the film finally arrives.